Welcome everyone. A small clip about a very specific topic. We are of course in very strange times at the moment with the whole corona crisis, and it has many consequences, very serious consequences. And it also has consequences for the type of litter we may find on the streets. To use certain prevention material, and I'm talking about the face mask and the gloves in many situations, and that is a potential hazard for litter. Now, for us there was a starting point. We were kind of interested in how do people regard this type of litter, and do they perceive it differently than other types of litter? And does it provide us with some insights to actually build interventions that can reduce this type of littering? What we did was we did a survey with 80 plus people, and we asked these type of questions. So let's dive in. Now, first of all, what we wanted to know is, let's assume that you have these disposable gloves, disposable mask, and you use them, for example, in a shop, in public transport, anything. What would you do with them? Of course, nobody said I would throw it on the ground. We asked that, would you throw it on the ground? How likely is that? From very unlikely to very likely. I think almost everybody said no, very unlikely. In the trash can, that was very likely, or it came between likely and very likely. But then the latter two options we were specifically interested in would you take it with you? And people thought that between neutral and likely that they would do so. And the last one is specifically interested, would you take it with you to reuse later? Now, at least in the Netherlands, but I assume this is everywhere, the statement was, do not do that. Do not reuse disposable gloves and facial mask. But still, people indicated between unlikely and neutral, so not very unlikely, that they would not do that. So that's at least an option to keep in mind that people will do that. The other thing, what it already tells us with regard to litter is that a lot of the litter will be produced by people putting it in a pocket and then probably later on taking keys out, anything out, and it drops on the ground. That is an important one to keep in mind. Assuming that you throw it in a trash can, are you familiar with in which trash can you have to put it? So we asked that. For different types of bins, we asked, are you allowed to put this prevention material in there? And we looked at the percentage of people saying yes. Now, first of all, this special Corona bin, I don't know if there is such a thing in your country, or if there is even such a thing. Are you allowed to throw that in? And of course, almost everyone said yes, you're allowed to do so for both the types of material. Now, then it became interesting, for us very interesting. We asked, are you allowed to put this material in a plastic bin? So where you normally put in the plastic bottles and that kind of thing. For the facial mask, they thought, no, the majority thought, no, that's not okay. However, for the gloves, you see that the majority thought, yes, you are allowed to do so. And at least, to my knowledge, here in the Netherlands, this should not go in a plastic bin, these gloves. They should go in the residual waste bin or the Corona bin, but not in the plastic bin. So people are not knowledgeable on this. Now, for the paper bin, they of course knew the plastic, or the gloves, the latex gloves, should not go in there. For the facial masks, some of them thought it was okay. But the majority thought no. And then with the residual waste bin, are you allowed to put this material in there? You see that the majority thought yes. For the gloves, disposable gloves, somewhat less, because probably they thought it should go in the plastic bin. Overall, this is interesting because there is some uncertainty. It is important to take that out, that uncertainty. Okay, so we know that they throw it in the trash, and we know how knowledgeable they are, but some of the material ends up on the streets. Would you pick it up? Would you pick up litter and throw it in a trash can? And that in comparison to regular litter. So we asked it for various types of litter, whether you would do so. Now, and this will probably, if you use some introspection, would you do it? It will probably produce the same answers. We asked for an empty soda can, and people said, some of them said, well, it's almost likely that I would pick it up and throw it in a trash can if it's laying somewhere near to me. For an empty fries cup, something that's a bit more dirty, they would do it. But then for the disposable gloves and mask, no, they would not do it. We got back in the comments and said, no, it's just dirty. It is, the whole sickness thing is linked to it, and so no. In the later questions, we asked them, how important do you think it is compared to regular litter that this type of litter is removed from the streets? And they mentioned that it was more important than taking regular litter off the streets. We also asked, with regard to the face mask, what type of face mask are you using or planning to use? And then we see that 50% is going for the reusable one, 40% for the disposable one, and 10% is very creative and is making his or her own mask. Lastly, we asked whether they already see a lot of litter, corona litter, laying on the streets. And there was some good news. The majority indicated that they didn't see a lot of these thrown away gloves or face mask laying around. However, this research is a couple of weeks back, and as we all know, more and more people are coming on the streets, so this may of course increase the amount of litter. But for now, they found it okay. Coming to the tips. Number 1, trash can placement. Always place the trash can as close to where the problem may exist as possible. So this means the location where people pull off their gloves and take off their mask, close to shops, close to where they get out of the trains, get out of a bus. These are the hotspots, and these should be the locations where the trash can is placed. We know from research that the shorter the distance people have to walk to a trash can, the more likely it is that they will actually use the can in itself. Now, you can play around with that a bit by making the trash can also stand out. A bright color will increase the usage of the can itself. Another element, something we got back in the feedback as well, is that people don't want to touch anything anymore, and specifically a trash can. They used to have already a problem with that, so an open trash can is better than a closed one because people don't want to touch the lid, but now with the corona it's specifically a topic. A third one, and a known one, is keep the area clean. It is an important point apparently. As the survey shows, people think it's important that litter is cleaned, and specifically corona litter is cleaned, but a clean area also keeps the area more clean. It doesn't invite other litter. So if you have to pick certain areas, then specifically clean the hotspots for the corona material. This would be bus stands where people get out and take off the material, or where they would take their keys out of their pockets to open their bicycle. These could be hotspots for corona material, and keep specifically these areas very clean. We saw in the research that there is some ambiguity with regard to the to what you have to do with the material, in which trash can to put it. So that is an opening for campaigns that actually show the correct behavior, show people doing what needs to be done with the material, and also communicate that many people find it very important that you put this stuff in a trash can and don't throw it on the ground or let it fall to the ground. Lastly, also connecting to this point is because you want to remove the uncertainty, that is an important one. Use pictograms, as you can see here. These signs to create clarity with regard to what you have to do with the material. Therefore, that people don't stick it with them and it doesn't end up on the ground. That was it in a nutshell. There is so much more to say about the topic, and of course, as you all know, there's so much more to investigate and to talk about when it comes to litter in general. This was purely focused on the litter of corona prevention material, and it is just a first step. Keep that in mind. So just a small survey with regard to this. However, if you have any questions on the topic, if you have any questions about the survey, the research, or anything else, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'll show my email. And most of all, stay safe and have a great day. Thank you very much.